It's of course DJ Ash Noble here. Welcome back to another stream. Now, this is the stream that we normally do this type of stream somewhere around this time every year. Sometimes it's a little earlier, sometimes it's a little later. Just depends what's going on. But this is the stream where I talk about the highlights of this year, and I kind of overall talk about like how I think this year's gone for myself as an artist, for myself as a DJ, and how I feel that the year's gone in general. We have a little bit of a talk and a look back and a reflection of the past sort of, like, well, not the past year, but sort of like the 2025, if you like, and just kind of literally, talk about how the year's gone, and it kind of do like a little bit of a highlight of the year as we are kind of like literally approaching, like, we are literally about just under 4 weeks left of this year, which is absolutely crazy. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a look back on how I think the year's gone. So before we do 2 seconds. Yeah, sorry. So before we dive deep into how I think this year's gone, let's kind of just sort of talk overall about how I think the year's gone. Now, the year in itself, so 2025, I'm going to be completely and brutally honest with you. 2025 has not been my best year. Things have happened throughout the year. It's not been the best year for me, but it's not been like, in terms of like the music perspective, in terms of the DJ perspective, it's not been a horrible year. There's been some really, really good moments and some really cool things that have happened during the year. Like, we've done some really, really cool things, but it hasn't been my best year. Like, I don't feel like I've done the best that I could do, and we'll talk about that as we kind of go deeper into sort of like the highlights of this year. But overall, like, it's not been like completely horrible, but like there is areas where I know that I've lacked in, where I know that I haven't pushed myself as much, which is like, not necessarily a good thing. But it's a good thing that I recognize it, and it's a good thing that I can get to that position now where I can kind of work on that, and I can make myself hopefully be a little bit better. 2024 was a really good year. 24 was like one of the best music years that I've ever had in my whole career. However, so I took a lot of bookings last year, took a hell of a lot of bookings. I was practically playing, like, I had at least one gig every month that year. Like, there was only maybe like there was maybe 1 month out of the whole year, like maybe a February or something, or maybe something like October or something. There was just like 1 month where like I didn't really have any gigs, and the rest of them, like, I pretty much had a gig. So like I'd have a gig, and then like I'd maybe have a couple of weeks, and then I'd have another gig, and then sometimes I'd have a gig and then a gig the following weekend. It was a really, really busy year. It was because it was just one of them, like, we had a really solid year, but some of the bookings that I took were just like, I took a booking for the sake of taking a booking, and the gigs, like, they weren't the best gigs. Like, they were like, I played a few gigs, not loads, but I played a few gigs where like I just literally played a gig and there was like not really anybody there. It was just an empty club. And really, I didn't really need to take the gig because I had like plenty of other gigs that were a little bit more better. And, you know, there were bigger lineups and there were going to be more people at the event. But me just having this absolutely awesome year, got this opportunity to take another gig. And then I just literally took another gig. And some of the gigs, they just weren't always the best ones. And I just feel like I took them for the sake of taking them. However, like, we just had a really sick year with loads of absolutely awesome gigs. And I hit like loads of different towns and cities, which was really good. I'm so sorry that 2024 was a bad year for you. So 2025, we'll talk about 2025 as this is what the stream is about. So 2025, so towards the back end of 2024, I was coming to what was close to a really good year. And I had some gigs in the pipeline for 2025. I'd been contacted regarding some bookings. There was a couple of gigs that I'd been contacted for, and there was a good sort of 3 or 4 bookings already in the pipeline that was due to take place in 2024. And one of them unfortunately got cancelled. It was just one of them things. They didn't really say why it had been cancelled. It got cancelled. Then they never really like made an official statement to why they cancelled it. And I've never really heard anything from them again since. So I don't fully know what went on, but the event got cancelled. I was supposed to be going down to Shrewsbury and playing on a lineup with the likes of Rob IYF and some other, really, really awesome DJs. And there was a bounce room and a hardcore room, and they'd put me into the bounce room. I was quite looking forward to it, and it just unfortunately got cancelled. And there was a couple of other gigs. There was one of them, a date got moved, and then I could no longer do the date because I was going away on holiday. And then there was another gig that also got cancelled. So suddenly I went from like having a few gigs to look forward to these gigs just kind of being like really, they'd just gone, like they were no longer happening. And it was a little bit of an annoying pain because I kind of really wasn't really sure what to do in those situations. And it was a little bit like one of the gigs, they'd already paid me a deposit as well, which was a really, really sort of like unfortunate thing. But they actually did say, like, to anybody who's already received the deposit, we will, you can keep that deposit as our sort of a way of apologising, which I thought was quite nice. And then, like I say, we came into 2025, them gigs got cancelled. My Google account got hacked because I was a stupid idiot and wanted to try and crack a plugin for FL Studio, and thought I found one off a dodgy website, and went to download one, and obviously it was just, they managed to hack me, and they took me out of my Google account, and I was off of this YouTube channel for a good little while trying to get it back. And then I did actually manage to get it back, which I was really, really happy about. They did also try to get my Facebook at the same time as well, but luckily I was able to stop that. And I don't honestly know how they got past like the authentication of getting into my Google account, like, because I normally get a notification on my phone, like someone is trying to sign in to your Google account, like, and then you click like whether it's you or not, and that didn't come up, and they'd somehow done it in the middle of the night while I was asleep. And then the next day I was like, boom, I can't go on to my YouTube. So that lasted a couple of weeks. I finally got that back. My computer broke, the big power adapter, so like what you plug the power adapter into, like the port, like the big sort of like port with the fan, on the back of a computer that you plug your lead into. That broke. That literally just died on me one day. And I was unsure and was in a little bit of a like, because I was looking at like, buying a part, and then like it was looking like it was going to cost me like between 50 and 70 quid to get the part. And then I was thinking, like, spending 70 quid, you may as well put that towards a new computer. So I was weighing up, like, different computers. And then I was looking, like, because obviously I've got loads of data. So, like, transferring that data to the new computer, could I fit my hard drive in a new computer kind of thing. And was weighing that up, and then me good friend the layman sort of he had a computer for me, and then we couldn't get that to work, and it was just a little bit of a pain. And then in the end I found somebody selling a power adapter, like 25 quid. They were selling it quite cheap. I needed it, so I just grabbed it. It was just really one of them things that I needed. Then the next thing was I just had a lack of, like, I wasn't really getting many gigs. And then because my work pay, like, I've got a day job, and that wasn't really like seeing me through. So, like, I was kind of struggling a little bit. So, like, I'd pay all my bills, and then I'd kind of be, like, pretty much skint. Whereas, like, last year, I'd, like, kind of pay me bills, and then I'd have a couple of gigs. And having a couple of gigs, like, even if it was just 2 gigs, like, that month, or even a gig even, like, it just used to help tie me over just for, like, getting food shopping and making sure I'm having something to eat kind of thing, and getting like essentials in. Whereas when I was kind of like having a lack of doing gigs, and I'd lost a little bit of funding at work, I was kind of like paying me bills, and then it was kind of like it was just leaving me with like really next to nothing to last over 3 weeks. So that was kind of the next thing. And then I had my nan, unfortunately, and would have been her birthday today, bless her. She got unwell over sort of mid to late last year. And then sort of towards Christmas became like really unwell, to the point where she was basically like, she requested to come home to die, basically. And then sort of through the like first sort of very beginning of like 2025, she was really unwell, to the point where like I'd ring up, and like she wouldn't be able to talk to me on the phone because she couldn't hold the phone. I'd go through and see her, and I just like, you could really barely like really do anything or talk to her because she was just sort of more or less in and out of sleep. And she was just really unwell, and she wasn't eating. She couldn't eat because of the illness, but not eating was actually making her worse. And then in the end, unfortunately, I think she passed away in her sleep. So that was a little bit of an unfortunate shock for us. About 2 weeks prior to that, one of my uncles also passed away, fighting a cancer illness. A week after my nan died, I had an auntie that died, who was the wife of the husband who died from the cancer. And my aunt was facing a dementia battle. So she died. And then we had we had all them funerals, etc. And then probably about a month after that, my other uncle passed away, who was he was in his 90s. He was very old, and he just had his breakfast one morning, said he didn't feel too good, went for a lie down, and didn't wake back up. And I was quite close to all of them, to be honest. Like, when I was younger, especially when I got older, granted, I moved to Hull, I got busy in life, so like I didn't see him as much, but I still classed, like, I was still close to him. I still loved him very much. So we had literally had like 4 deaths, like in not even in the space of 3 months, which was You know, obviously like that, it's just absolutely crazy. They all kind of just came at once. It was almost like, you know, if one's, you know, if one's going, the rest is going. And that was a little bit of a really like sort of annoying thing to go through. And obviously an upsetting thing that, you know, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Like there's people like, obviously I know that will have obviously lost family members and things like that, right? And it's a horrible thing, but to lose four like in the space of like not even 3 months, like that, honestly, it really hits you. It really does. So that was kind of like what sort of like kicked off the first half of 2025. Went on holiday, had a really nice holiday with my dad, couple of my dad's friends. I say we had a really nice holiday. I think I spoke about it at the time. It was like it was a good and a bad holiday. So there was elements of it that like I really enjoyed, and then there was elements that I just thought, what the hell am I doing on this holiday? And we ended up like staying in this cottage in the countryside in Ireland. Really nice place, right? But we were so limited to what we could do. Like so like we went with a couple of my dad's friends, and one of my dad's friend's girlfriend, she's very into like going walking, so like getting up early, going walking, going on walks. So she was very much like one of these people where like she'd go to bed early on a night, but she'd get up at like 6 in the morning, and then you'd go out at 7, and you'd go on and you'd go on a walk, and you know you'd be out on a walk for most of the morning, sometimes even most of the day. I'm one of these people, like I don't mind going on a little walk, but like we must have done like nearly a 20-mile walk, like I'm not kidding you. And we found all these like coastal mountains, and don't get me wrong, some really nice scenery. Like it like in that sense it was a good walk. There was a lot of really nice scenery to see. It was enjoyable in that sense. It was nice to be out in the fresh air, but it was just too long of a walk. Like I say, like we left about 7 in the morning, and I don't think we got back home till like 3 in the afternoon. Like that is like literally how long we'd been out walking, and we'd gone up these hills and down these paths and across these beaches and over these rocks, and it was just, honestly, it was like a really long walk. But then like I'm one of these people where like I like to go and see nightlife as well. So, like, you know, you come to Ireland, like, I would have loved to have gone to a few bars to have seen, like, some bands playing. I would have liked to have maybe, like, I'm not a big drinker as much nowadays as I used to be. But I would have liked to, like, we're on holiday, I would have liked to have just gone to a bar and maybe just had an Irish beer and caught a little bit of live music. And it was a motorbike racing event that was on, so they had things happening, like, up at the grandstand paddock. But then, like, because we lived out in the countryside, like, and we'd gone on motorbikes, I'd gone on the back of my dad's bike. So the only way that I could really like get to any of them places was to go via his bike. So when it kind of got to night time and we'd like done whatever we were doing during the day, we kind of got stuck at the cottage. And I'm one of these people where like, you know, like I want to go and like explore stuff, like you know, like I go on holiday. I don't go on holiday to sit in a cottage or like to sit in a hotel. Like the hotel for me is like, it's just somewhere where you get your head down. It's somewhere where you have a bit of breakfast in the morning. It's somewhere where you just, you know, you get your head down at night. A holiday for me is like you're out morning till night. You're doing different things. You do something in the day, then you do something at night. Whether you go to, you know, but you know, it was that kind of thing. What speakers am I running? You're presuming that one behind me. So that is Von YX 400 watt powered speakers. So they're like, I think they're like 200 watt each. They're not bad. I've had them a long time. They're showing signs of wear and tear. I need some new ones. listen, I need a lot of new stuff, to be honest with you. It's affording to get new stuff. Like, that is the, like, things aren't cheap. Like, speakers aren't cheap, decks aren't cheap, like, you know, computers and they're not cheap, but I need a lot of new stuff. Like, I've got some good speakers at my computer. Some Mackies, I think they are. Really nice. They sound really good. But yeah, like, literally, the speakers, they're quite old. About 4 or 5 years ago, I took them to a party, and I'd had a one too many to drink, let's say. We'd had like a barbecue at one of my mate's girlfriend's houses at the time, and I'd supped too many. We were packing up, like, you know, the party was coming to an end, and anyway, it come to the point where I was like, I want to help pack down, and I dropped a speaker and cracked the casing for it, and I ended up, I had one too many, and I got upset, and ended up, you know, crying, and like, I can't believe I shouldn't have brought my speakers. So trying to get some KRK Rocket 8s. Yeah, I'd love to get some at like KRKs. So the little Mackies that I have at the computer, like, they're not the biggest speakers in the world, but they're quite good for me, like, just like in here. But yeah, and then DJ decks wise, as you can see over there, I run the XDJ RX, really cool bit of kit. Yeah, so this holiday anyway. So the holiday, like I say, because we was at that cottage, I was limited to what I could do, like getting to some of the towns and stuff, and it kind of ruined it a little bit for me. Like, I wanted to go out and see and do a little bit more, and I wanted to go out for some meals, and it was like they wanted to get food and cook it at the apartment because it would be cheaper than eating out. But like, I just kind of think, like, you go on holiday, like, to kind of let your hair down. Like, how often when you're at home do you cook at home? So I just think, like, when you go away on holiday, like, the whole idea of it is that you eat out a little bit and you enjoy yourself, you let your hair down, try some restaurants, and that was kind of what I thought we was going to do. And like, there was all these kind of like plans, and like, before we were going, you know, my dad was showing me, like, oh, they're going to have like live music on certain nights, and I thought, oh, this is going to be wicked, and then we just didn't even get to like really any of it, and we kind of, in a way, no offenses, but we kind of just did everything that my dad's friend wanted to do. It was kind of like, you know, that was kind of like the vibe of what I felt. So we had that holiday anyway, and then when I came back off holiday, things started to pick up a little bit, and started like getting some more bookings back in. So bookings started to roll back in, started to feel really sort of good and positive. Started working on some really good music with the Layman, and we released a couple of tracks. One called Right By Your Side, one called Feeling Your Heartbeat. Feeling Your Heartbeat for me was it was one of the best tracks that I've ever released. It was just like, there was just so much, like, I was really excited about it, and like, I had never pushed myself the way I'd pushed myself like on social media before. Like, I was doing so much with that track. Like, I was putting it in videos, I was putting it in reels, I was making different pictures with the album cover in it. I was doing loads of different things to try and promote the track, and I felt like, for me, I'd done really well on the promotion, because I'm not always the best when it comes to like promoting online. Sometimes my social medias can really look dead compared to like how they really should be looking. So when it came to that track, I did feel like I'd done really well with that. And then the gigs started to roll back in. Did some of the best gigs that I've ever done. Did the Clubland in Hull. Went back up to Scotland. I've done the Hull Fair. Did a couple of private functions as well. So I did a birthday party, a surprise birthday party. I did another birthday party that went down really well. Did loads of cool little sort of like different gigs. Layman's hosted me a couple of times this year. Had some really good sets, really enjoyable sets that I'm like really grateful for. And then we sort of get to sort of like the sort of late August, September, and things sort of started to drip a little bit downhill again. And I got addicted to TikTok. So throughout the course of the year, I think I say getting addicted to TikTok. I don't. I look at it now and I analyze it now, and I don't think I was actually addicted to TikTok. Because I know, as crazy as it sounds, right? Because I was on TikTok all the time, right? I was going live every night, and I haven't been going live on there for a little while now. Really, like I go live on the deck sometimes, but like I haven't gone live and opened boxes for a long time. I analysed it and I thought about it, and I realised that it wasn't like TikTok wasn't the issue. So what the issue was is I'd got talking to some people that I thought were like so-called friends, right? And basically it was like I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to like talk to them. So like if we didn't go on TikTok, like we'd go on like a messenger video call, right? And like if we whether we did that or whether we did TikTok, sometimes we'd be on them to like stupid o'clock. And I realized that like if it wasn't for them, like I probably wouldn't have gone on TikTok as much as I did. So like I'm not as such saying it was their fault, because they were kind of saying like, oh, you know, like go on TikTok, or you need to go on TikTok. It wasn't that they were saying that as such. It was like we would go on a TikTok together, or we'd go in a video chat like on Messenger. We'd have a laugh and we'd have fun. So then like I would be saying like oh, I think I'm gonna go live, do you want to jump in? And it was because I wanted them to jump in. I wanted to talk to them. If they was like, oh no, I'm gonna give it a miss tonight and have an early night, then I probably wouldn't go live. It wasn't, and I realized that TikTok wasn't necessarily just the issue, and it was actually the fact of the people that were joining my boxes. I wanted to talk to them, and then we'd kind of built a relationship on, and I'd added them on Facebook and stuff like that. So it was like we'd video call, or we'd text or something like that. And I realized it was actually more the people that I was taught that, that I wanted to talk to these people, not just necessarily go on TikTok. If these people weren't relevant at the time, or they weren't active, or, they weren't around, then I wouldn't go on. I wouldn't go on. I'd maybe do my DJ live and maybe go live and show a track I was working on. That would literally be it. And I thought, when it got really bad, because it got quite bad, I thought, oh, it's TikTok. I'm going on TikTok too much, which I was. But I realised that it was because I was wanting to talk to them people that I was joining boxes with. And now I haven't joined boxes with them for, little over a couple of weeks now. It's got to be like going on about maybe two. I think it's coming up to, I think this week will be the third week. So like I think there was last week I didn't do it, and then I think the week before I didn't really do it, and then I did it once. I think I didn't really do it, and then I did it once, and then I had a really late night and I missed something quite important. So anyway, that kind of was the situation, what happened. And then I just realised that, look, I needed to stop. Anyway, now I don't really go on it, apart from like if I'm doing a DJ live, which is good. So we kind of went downhill a little bit with that. And then we kind of like come to now. So are you still DJing out? Yes, I do still DJ out. I DJ. I haven't this year I've not DJ'd as much as I DJ'd the year before. So last year, like, I DJ'd loads. But as I was saying earlier in the live, I took a lot of bookings last year for the sake of taking a booking. So like, I had some really good bookings last year. I had some absolutely mint bookings. But there was a couple of times where, like, I would take a booking and, like, I didn't really need to take it, and it was just like to go and play in a nightclub that was that like, it was just on a night, like, there wasn't really much going on, so the night wouldn't really get necessarily that busy, and you were just kind of like, playing, like, sometimes in an empty club. So like, sometimes I'd take this gig, for example, right, and then I'd maybe be playing to like 5 people, and I did it like a couple of times throughout last year, where, like, I had other gigs, like, and because I was on this like buzz, and I was getting all these bookings, and then, like, I just, like, for the sake of it, I just thought, you know what, I'm on a proper buzz, let's take more. So I'd take these other bookings, and they weren't necessarily like, they weren't the best. Like, they weren't horrible gigs. Like, I didn't necessarily have a bad experience. It's just, you'd go there and, like, the club would be really quiet, it'd be really empty, and you'd think, like, I've travelled all the way, like, here, and I'm not really playing to anybody, other than, like, sometimes a couple of the other artists on the lineup, which was a little bit, it was one of them. So anyway, cutting the story short, so this year, I haven't taken as many bookings. I had a few bookings that got cancelled, but the bookings that I have taken this year, they have all been really, really good bookings. Like, they have been absolutely wicked nights. There was only one booking. I took it earlier on in the year. It was about March time, playing a trance night, and there was an issue with one of the CDJs, and it went into like a loop mode, and there was nobody around, so I couldn't, and I was trying to, like, I was coming close to, like, listen, I've got to bring the next track in, and I couldn't find anybody to tell them, like, the deck's gone into like a loop mode, and I didn't know what to do, and I turned it off and back on, and it was, it was playing up. So anyway, that was probably like the only real sort of bad experience with a gig that I had, but, like, I still really enjoyed the night and the vibe. It was just kind of like that one thing. But no, this year, like, all the gigs I've taken have been like really good gigs. They've been, I haven't just taken stupid little gigs that, like, just for the sake of, like, oh, I've got nothing on this weekend, I'll just go and play to this empty nightclub, which is kind of what I did last year, stupidly, which it wasn't a horrible thing, because sometimes you can use them gigs as a chance, just like to get into a nightclub, get somewhere with a loud sound system, and kind of like, like, if you've got a bigger gig coming up in a couple of weeks, and you take a little bit of a quieter one, and you get the vibe being in a nightclub, and you get to sort of like test out some stuff that you might play at that bigger gig, it can be quite a good thing in that sense. But it can also be damaging as well, because, like, if you play a lot of like events and they don't really get many people in, but like your photos and videos are getting taken, and you've been posted online, and to people are looking from the outside, looking at you as an artist, and they say, like, oh, this guy never really plays anywhere where there's much of a crowd. Like, it can instantly make people think, like, well, you might not be a, it might not be a good, it might, they're gonna think like you might not be a good DJ, kind of thing, because they're kind of, in as daft as it sounds, they're judging a book by its cover, because, like, like, they're seeing this, like, this, like, story of a club that's empty, but then, like, they're thinking, like, that's like, I just play to empty clubs all the time. Have you DJ'd at Andy Whitby event? So I've not DJ'd an official Andy Whitby event, but I've DJ'd a couple of events now that have where he's been on the lineup. So So last year I DJ'd a Rave Kids. They brought Rave Kids to Hull. The year before and last year, I played an event in Stoke-on-Trent, and they both times they booked Andy Whitby and they booked myself, and I ended up playing, but both times I played in the second room, which the second time, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a tiny little bit gutted about, because the first time, like, I played the second room, I was buzzed about that. It was a bit of an experience for me, as you do. Anyway, point being, second time, so the first time there was a few issues that went wrong, and a couple of people didn't turn up for sets and stuff, and things didn't necessarily go down well. So I said to the promoter at the time, I said, look, if you need me to jump back on, I'll jump back on, and I'm happy to cover the set in that room, and I'm happy to sort of keep that room going a little bit. I kind of did. And anyway, like, one of the promoters like messaged me afterwards, and he was real grateful, and he was like, look, you showed, you really helped us out, you showed courage, we'll definitely be booking you again. Made it sound really, you've done a good thing, we're definitely going to have you back. And you played banging sets, and you helped us out, and you supported the event, and so I thought wicked. And then they put me on the second time, and then it was just kind of like, you're just gonna play that second room again, and I did, and they put me on, and I ended up doing a 2-hour set, and I just thought the second room didn't really get busy like the main room. The second room wasn't really, you didn't even like necessarily really know it was there. There's another room in there. A few people ventured in and enjoyed what I was doing, but like the main room was just sort of like where it was at, and it just it wasn't like it wasn't the best thing, but it wasn't horrible at the same time. So anyway. They're the times that I played for like on an event with Andy Whitby. The Rave Kids one, that was like the main one, because we were all kind of on the main stage, and I was like, I physically like felt like I was more like on the lineup with him, whereas like when I did the one in Stoke, it was a bit more like, well, listen, look, I was on the lineup in the second room, but like first time I went and stayed in a hotel. And I kind of caught the whole event. I caught Whitby's set. The second time, I went on to another gig. I went on to Grimsby afterwards. So it was a little bit like, it was a little bit of that thing of like, well, like, listen, this is sort of like how it rolls. And I didn't stay in the hotel that time, so it was just one of them things where I just felt like it wasn't as good as it could have been. But there you go. So yeah, the overall of this year then. So going back to the outlook of this like whole entire year. So like it's not been a horrible year, but like I know for me personally, like I have slacked on a few things, like I really promoted the shit out of the feeling your heartbeat track, and it felt really good. And then after that, like everything just kind of dropped. Like I just dropped everything, and it was just, I don't fully know why, or like why what happened, like kind of what happened. I know some of it was the sitting on TikTok. I know that was some of that was like a big part of it, but like the only way to describe it is my brain like has been feeling fried. My brain has been feeling like everything's just felt like too much. Like I don't know, like it's almost like I'd go to work, and then like after work, it was just a little bit like I didn't want to do it. I didn't really want to do anything else other than like have a mix on the decks or have a play around on FL Studio, and I wasn't even really like necessarily doing anything that important, and I felt like that I don't know. I just felt like I didn't have the energy. Like like, and I felt like couple of things, like I'd be doing things and a couple of things would go wrong, or a couple of things wouldn't work out for me. Like I was trying to do something and I couldn't get it to work, and then I just kind of like, the only way to describe it was like losing all motivation for like something, like, I don't know, like I'd be working on a track and I couldn't get the lead right, and then like I'd try and try, and then I'd just be at a point where like I can't get this lead right, and I'd lose all motivation for it, and I just came into a big sort of a period of my life where like the motivation had just gone. um and then I was just kind of like, yeah, it's gone. But I didn't really realize it was going. That was the thing. And and the days were just passing by, and like I wasn't sharing stuff, I wasn't promoting like a lot of what I was doing. My Facebook ended up going stale, and I don't really understand, like I say, fully why, but I just, all I know is that my brain did kind of feel fried, and I kind of felt like I was just sort of finding it hard to like keep up and remember everything I was doing, and like remembering to share everything, or remembering to post everything, or posting something right. And then it kind of felt like I was getting something wrong. So like I'd post something and then like I wouldn't check it properly, and I'd made a spelling error on it, or I'd shared something to the wrong place, and I don't know, loads of things just kind of built up. And then I just felt like, do you know what? Like, I don't know. I just kind of got into this like CBA mode without really realizing I'd gotten into it, because kind of in my mind, like I still wanted to do things and wanting to like share stuff, but it was like time just went and I didn't end up sharing it. And then a couple of days had passed and I hadn't really promoted something, and then, oh, it's a bit late to promote it now. But like in my mind, I kind of wanted to, but it's just like I just physically couldn't do it. So now I'm trying to like push myself back up, and I think I'm doing. Lately, I think just over the past couple of weeks, I think I've done a lot better than I was doing. So hopefully, I can continue like on the rise. Like, I'm still a little bit slow sometimes, and sometimes, like I say, I'm gonna send a file to somebody, or I'm gonna do something and I don't do it. But I think I am slowly getting there, and people do like just need to give me time. Like, I will get back there, but the more people like put pressure on me, and the more people like that nag at me and be like, you haven't done this, like I will do it. Like, I might not do everything, but I am aiming to get back to that point. So we'll see. So I think, like next year I need to like really give myself like a focus on like giving myself a proper boost, and like really kind of like seeing where we go. So hopefully we can sort of build ourselves back up for 2026, and we can have an absolutely wicked year. So I'm not saying that this year's been horrible, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of room for improvement. And I, like last year, I was really good at promoting myself, and I really like, I was always like, I'm here next, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and it was just a really, really cool vibe. So next year, I want to kind of get back to that, and I want to like really like promote new things that are coming, and I want to start new projects and really push myself. I want to push myself more as a DJ as well. I want to do like regular mix series. I want to, kind of be a bit more sort of like just a little bit more active on like what I'm doing as a DJ, rather than just like doing a little couple of lives on the decks, and then there's a poster. So anyway, we are going to cut this here because my phone is about to die. So like, comment, share, and peace.